Hey guys, welcome back to the Island House. We are on chapter 2, so let's get started. Dawson did not like the storm crossing the pretty strawberry blonde's face. She clearly didn't like his answer, but his brain screamed some of the words she said. What are you doing in my house? Your house? He asked at the same time. She particularly snarked. You don't live here, I live here. Her light green eyes held plenty of panic, and Dawson needed to figure out how to erase it. She was pretty, with long limbs and a lithe frame, but she also possessed some powerful strength, and if he wanted to stay here, which he did, he better get talking. Did you buy the place? He asked. Yes, she folded her arms, which made a sound from how wet her clothes were. I was very clear about when I was moving in. You sent me the key, remember? He held up both hands, his mind spinning. Why hadn't Sinclair told him the house had been sold? Probably because you never asked if you could stay here, Dawson said. I don't own the house. No, you don't. I do. I can get the paperwork. It's fine, he said. I'm just surprised Sinclair sold it without telling me. I was taking care of the place for him. He'd known Sinclair and Bridget 14, and they didn't even live on the island anymore. So when he needed to get out of his condo, he'd come here. The views were great, and while the house needed a few repairs, he didn't actually spend much time in it. He sized into that idea as he snorted. Taking care of the place, she swept her arms around the kitchen and attached dining room. Well, I think you failed at that, Dawson. This place is a mess. His defenses shot up, and it wasn't even his house. Look, I've only been here a few weeks and I work a lot. Oh, doing what? Better not be plumbing. He stared for a moment, and then burst out laughing. Thankfully, that diffused the tension in the air, and Charlotte laughed a little, too. Sorry, that was really mean. No, it's fine. He twisted to look at the sink, wishing with everything in him that he wasn't wearing jeans. Wet denim had to be the most uncomfortable item of clothing on the planet. I would be a terrible plumber. So what do? I'm a helicopter pilot, he said, for one of the tours placed out of Getaway Bay. She sized him up, and he wondered what she could possibly be thinking. Look, I may have stretched the truth a little. Her eyebrows went, and her lips mashed together, but she said nothing. Sinclair and Bridget didn't know I was staying here. A squatter, then. I'm in between places now, and maybe I can have a week or two to find somewhere before you kick me out. He lifted his eyebrows and put a smile on his face, hopefully to show her he was a nice guy. I can give you my reason. All he could think about was Caleb Steed, the man who'd fallen from all and been forced to sleep on the beach. Could Dawson be that guy? Avoiding the police and living in the same clothes, brushing his teeth with half an appliance in a public restroom, my bad. No, he had a job, and a wandering spirit, which didn't allow him to stay in one place for a very long time. But he had fallen in love with the beach atmosphere and the vibe in Getaway Bay, and he didn't want to leave this island. He just had to find a new place to live every 6 months or so. Why don't you have a place to live? Shirley asked, drawing Dawson out of himself. He often wondered what it would be like to live in the same place for longer than a year, and he'd done it here on the island, but this house was his third dwelling. He considered her. He didn't want to lie, but he seemed to have her heart on her sleeve. And if he could appeal to her, maybe he could stay here. My ex lived in the same condo complex, he said, speaking the truth. I didn't want to see her all the time. Also true. He didn't have particularly fond memories of the woman, but he'd seen her lounging by the pool or getting in her car a couple of times. It hadn't been horrible. I'm sorry, Charlotte said, and Dawson gave a small chug. So I landed here. I'm pretty handy with a hammer, but I do work a ton. They have you flying all the time? The tours go 7 days a week. I usually work 3 or 4 of them, 12-hour shifts. Charlotte started nodding halfway through his explanation. And on your days off? I'm tired, he suggested. He gestured to the sliding glass door behind her. I sleep in that hammock with the bay breeze whispering dreams to me, or I try to fix the kitchen sink. Charlotte looked out the huge wall of windows behind her for several long moments. When she turned back to him, she softened considerably. Let's not have you do the sink again, okay? And you're really going to have to sell me on you being handy, as I've already seen evidence that points to the contrary. So I can stay? She didn't blurt out yes, which sent a needle of blunt doubt into Dawson's heart about this place from the pictures of the view online. Let me take a tour and think about it. There's a bedroom on this floor. Way back in the corner, he said quietly. I'd be completely out of your way. He had no idea what this woman did. Why'd she come to Getaway Bay and bought this house she hadn't even seen in person, or what it would take to convince her that he just needed a few more weeks under this roof. Charlotte gave him one long last look, and then she left him standing in a puddle of water in the kitchen. He exhaled and turned back to the sink, bracing himself with both hands against it. Thanks for spitting water everywhere. At exactly the wrong moment, he murmured, a chuckle coming from his mouth. If there was something his 20 years in the Air Force had taught him, it was perseverance. So he'd wait and listen to her, and then he'd figure out a way to stay here. I'm trying to pause this thing right here. Thanks. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.